All right, well, now it is time for a segment of my show that I'm sure all fantasy football players will love. It is called Stardom Situm, the classic segment where I will talk about who you should start and who you should sit in your fantasy football leagues this week. Week one, very important to get your fantasy team off and running with a dub. Who do I like this week? Who should be started? Well, I'll tell you who I like. I like Derek Carr very, very much this week. So much so that I'm going to start him over Andrew Luck. Now, Carr has the benefit of going up against what might be the worst defense in the NFL. The New Orleans Saints are very, very vulnerable, and playing in a dome, especially, I really like Carr to have a big day there. Now, another quarterback who I think could perform really well, Matt Stafford. Quarterback is obviously comfortable with playing indoors, being a Detroit Lion. He's going to be playing indoors, not on his home turf. He'll be at Lucas Oil Stadium where the Colts play, but I think he could really tear that Colts secondary apart, especially with Vontae Davis out. He could really create a big day as well for his new primary target, Vontae Davis. And speaking of primary targets, one that people may not be paying much attention to is Tajae Sharp, of the Tennessee Titans. I think Marcus Mariota is going to rely on him a lot, and especially in PPR leagues, he could really come up with a big day going up against the Minnesota Vikings. In terms of guys who might be flying under the radar a little bit, maybe even on your waiver wire who are worth a start, Martellus Bennett going up against the Arizona Cardinals. He's going to be playing with Jimmy Garoppolo starting at quarterback, and backup quarterbacks are guys who are trying to establish a rhythm, prove themselves. Oftentimes like to throw to tight ends. The Patriots tend to be a tight end happy offense, and I think Garoppolo is really going to target Martellus Bennett a lot. He could be a prime fantasy tight end option. In terms of a running back, I really like DeAngelo Williams is on the wrong side of 30. Yes, he is aging, but he is going up against a Redskins defense that did not make the changes it should have to its defensive front in terms of defending the run. So I think Williams could have a big day in Le'Veon Bell's absence of suspension. Now, who do I not like this week? Well, I'll tell you who you should sit. Let's start off by sitting Matt Forte, another running back who is on the wrong side of 30. I just don't think he matches up well. The Jets' offense in general does not match up well against a very stout Cincinnati defensive front. I know Matt Forte tends to be a sexy option in PPR leagues a lot of the time, but just as a whole, it's going to be a long day for Matt Forte to open his NFL season. Jamal Charles is listed as doubtful against the Chargers. Do not start him. Wait till he's healthy. If you own him, not looking like he is going to suit up. Another guy who's probably not going to suit up definitely not going to suit up, it looks like at this point, Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham looks for an extended absence on the sidelines. You would hope in his case it's not going to be as long as, let's say, Cincinnati Bengals tight end Tyler Eifert, who is realistically probably going to come back in week 6, who was lucky not to get on the PUP list. Tight ends there going through some tough times. Chris Ivory against the Packers. He's a guy who's going to struggle to get carries because, they're just not going to have, an opportunities really to run the ball. They're going to be playing catch-up, and playing catch-up favors T.J. Yeldon, who can catch passes much better, a lot more than, let's say, Chris Ivory, who would love to vulture some touchdowns as a power running back. Another running back, or two more running backs, really, who are going to have long, difficult days ahead of them. Arian Foster going up against the Seahawks on the road. No, don't do it. It's not going to end well for him. Arian Foster is a player you want to sit. Frank Gore against the Lions. He is going to be playing without his best offensive lineman to block for him. Jack Mewhort is out. And I don't really see the Colts getting much of a push for him on the interior. So, it could be a rough go for Frank Gore. He's not necessarily a guaranteed starter option, but a talented player who is in a very unfortunate situation right now, not out of his own control. Stephon Diggs on the Vikings, an incredibly talented player who I think will eventually become an NFL superstar. He's going to be playing with a game manager at best. Sean Hill starting. Sam Bradford is not ready to start. Once Bradford, has enough mastery of the playbook to start, Diggs will be a better option, but not for this week in week 1. So with that, I leave you with my stardom sit-em picks of the week, and best of luck this week to all you fantasy football players out there.